What is improv? I've heard this word a lot. People might not know what it means.
Okay. Well, my name is Paige Wilhide, and I am a play and improv facilitator. And when I say improv, a lot of people associate it with improv comedy. They're like, oh, I've seen Whose Line Is It Anyway? Or I've seen, I've gone to a comedy club and seen an improv show. And it can be really funny. But there's so much more to improv. And the whole idea of improv is creating something out of nothing with other people. It's something you wouldn't be able to create on your own. And when I teach it, I introduce this core principle of improv, which is yes and. And I think that can apply across all areas of anyone's life. I bring it into my relationship. I bring it into my work with clients. I bring it into my relationship with my family and my parents and my sister. So yes and is a core principle. And the whole idea of it is you say yes to something that has been given to you. You agree with it. You create a base reality is what we call it in improv. And then you add to it by saying and. And so you're bringing your own ideas, your own unique perspective into the game and putting it into this reality. And then the next person says and, yes and. And we're building this world out of nothing that we could never have built on our own.
That's beautiful. That's a great description. What got you interested in improv in the first place?
I've always been a very creative person, and I've always been a very theatrical person. So I love being on stage. I grew up doing theater and performing in, summer camps and theater camps and conservatories when I was younger. And we brought improv exercises into acting classes. Like my teachers would do some improv exercises, but I never explicitly took an improv class until I was living in New York City, and I had recently moved there, and I was doing the acting thing, doing the theater thing, and I was a very technical, dramatic actress. Like I loved the drama of it, but never really considered myself a comedy actor. And I don't even really know how I got introduced to improv, but I had just heard of this school called the Upright Citizens Brigade, which is founded by Amy Poehler and some other improvisers. And they were the first ones to really bring improv to New York City. It started in Chicago and moved to New York City through this improv school. So I was like, I'll try a class. Why not? I love creativity, love exploring. And from 101, I was hooked. Like day one, all of a sudden, these people who were strangers walking into this room together became solid friends, and I made some of my best friends in New York City through my improv classes. And it actually became my passion more than dramatic theater. Dramatic theater started feeling like the business of it started feeling really heavy to me and intense. And I lost the passion for that art form because of the business of it. And so I really just invested all of my time and energy into doing improv classes. And I was doing classes during the day, performing in indie shows at night, rehearsing, because believe it or not, you practice improv. Like you have a group of people that you practice improv with. It's not just something where you can get on stage and be really great at it. People are like, you have to rehearse with improv? You're like, yeah, you do. You practice these tools and the different mindsets of it. So where was I?
Question I have is someone who knows nothing about acting in the world of theater.
Yeah.
What is drama theater?
Dramatic theater is, it's like going to see a play.
So
right?
It's just like a normal play.
Yeah, like a Neil Simon play or a Tennessee Williams play. Like it's very...
Totally know who those people are. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally. I can't believe I just pulled those out of my head, actually. I'm like, wow, go me. But yeah, those are old school playwrights.
Okay.
And it's like going to see just a classic play. Not really comedy focused. There might be some light comedic relief, but it's generally a deep theme and some dramatic acting.
Yeah. Well, I definitely want to hear more about your story about what you were doing for work while you were doing improv in New York. But before we go there, I think to bring a little more context to improv would be just talking about the workshop that you led
I would
myself
love to do that.
and some other men through. And it was so much fun. So what did you lead us through? And I'll kind of jump in and share my perspective on it too.
Yeah, I actually would love to hear, I know you're the interviewer, but I would love to hear sort of like some of your takeaways from it. And we talked a little bit about it, but just some deeper reflections on what you got, because that's always my favorite part, is hearing what other people get from the workshops that I lead. But yeah, I came into your men's group and led you all through some warm-up improv games just to start and get people a little bit out of their heads, into their bodies. I find that people come into these workshops really nervous, especially if you've never done improv, especially if you've seen improv and never done improv, because you're like, I don't know how, like, that doesn't feel possible for me, you know? So it's really my intention to first make everybody feel so comfortable. So that's kind of what the games are for, just to get everybody warmed up. And then I bring in different principles of improv. So I think for your workshop, we did some yes and we really worked on responding in the moment.
Right. I remember that.
That was such a powerful one, because we went around the circle one time and I think it was challenging for people. You know, everyone was kind of like in their heads, and I noticed it. And so we actually I made an adjustment, and then the second time we went around, it was like some shift happened and everybody was just really present, really in it, and really funny.
That was one of the biggest takeaways for me, is that improv is kind of antithetical to how you're supposed to behave normally, which you told us, start speaking before you know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
And again, society teaches us that you should think about what you want to say before you say it, so you don't just word vomit, you don't just say the wrong thing. And we were playing this game called 5 Things, which is you're in a circle, and if it was my turn, I would say to the person next to me, what are 5 ways to wake up your best friend? I think that was one that I got. Or maybe that's one that I gave. I can't remember. But as soon as I say that, the person next to me has to just immediately go. 5 ways to wake up their best friend. And they act it out. They say it at the same time. They speak it. And yeah, like you said, the first time we went around the circle, it was very slow. People were thinking and then doing it. And the second time, it was like you just start moving and saying things before you know what's going to come out.
Yeah,
and
we got into a rhythm.
That's where the creativity and also, funny enough, the humor came from without thinking about it. If I was trying to be funny, I wasn't funny. I was just saying whatever came up. It was more humorous.
Yes, absolutely. And the other piece of that is every time you say one of the things, everybody in the circle will acknowledge it and celebrate it. So there really is actually nothing you can do wrong. You can't do it wrong at all. Right? Because everybody's like 1, 2, and we're counting, and then we celebrate at the end.
Yeah.
So even if it's ways to wake up your best friend and you say a head of a giraffe, like, yeah, 1, it just doesn't really matter what you say. The whole point of it is to respond in the moment and to stay in that rhythm. And I think that was what happened the second time around. We really got that and got in that rhythm.
That was a huge takeaway. The permission to act and speak before thinking was so different than how I'm used to going through life. Another big takeaway was the accents and how, so a lot of improv is you like create a character kind of on the spot. And I realized that our group, we had, I think, 9 men. Our favorite accent was some Southern accent. And that kept showing up in each game in different ways. So that was really interesting. And it's a question I wanted to ask you, as someone who's done a lot more improv than myself, since I've only done it once. Do you have your go-to characters? Do you have your go-to accents?
I do. I have my like comfortable places. More often than not, I will play a cheerleader. That's my 2, 4, 6, 8. You are awesome. I am great. Like that's my go-to. Really like uppity people, but I love playing a range. Like that's what I think is cool about improv. I still have access to the dramatic actress inside of me. because you can come out, and we didn't really work on this this is kind of more advanced levels, but like if you're stepping out into a scene, you want to make a dramatic emotional choice when you first step out. And that doesn't have to be like, hey, everything's great and sunny and fun. It's like it can be really honest and raw and I just saw my boyfriend's phone and there was a picture of another woman on there, and then you can like build something from there, right? So I also get to bring the, I get to go to one side, but I also can go down. And so there's it's fun to play in those worlds. So yeah, I would say like my go-to is like the optimistic person, but I love playing like heartbroken people. I love it all. Yeah.
What's been the hardest character for you to show up as?
It's challenging for me to play men. Like I have kind of a harder time like going down into my lower register and like opening my leg, it's again fun, right? But it can be like a little more challenging for me sometimes because it's an experience that I'm not that familiar with, right? So yeah, that's probably one of the more challenging ones. Sci-fi is not really my genre. So if someone steps out and initiates a sci-fi scene, I'll be a cheerleading robot. I don't know. But that's the cool thing is everybody offers their own unique context of the world. And so like somebody who may be really familiar with sci-fi might actually create kind of a flat scene. But there's like this woman, me, who has no idea like what the tropes of sci-fi necessarily are, but I'll bring in like a really, ditzy alien waiter, and then that's fun. That adds a lot of dynamics to the scene to play off of.
I love what you did there when you pretended being a man. I feel like that happens whenever I see a woman pretend to be a man. They just act like a caveman. They like slump down and say small words. So thank you for that. Yeah, it's very accurate.
I like fire. I make fire. I hit things.
Oh my gosh, have you ever heard of a game called Neanderthal Poetry? It's a board game.
No, but I love board games.
It's made by the people who make Exploding Kittens.
Okay.
So they have tons of games, but it's so funny. It's like catchphrase, but you can only say one syllable words. So if I'm trying to describe fire to you and you're on my team, I would say hot. I can't say fire, so I'd say hot, bright. It's hard. Like I don't even know what I'm going to say, but like
wow.
It's a really bad example.
Yeah, no,
you
that's
just say
fun.
one word things, and if you say two syllables, they have like an inflatable club, and you get bopped on the head. So fun game.
What? How? Okay, I need this game. That's actually kind of brilliant.
So I want to go back to, you're in New York. You're starting to get into improv. Were you working in improv at the time, or were you working a normal job?
So
Tell us a little bit more.
when I first started doing improv, I was doing the New York hustle, which is I was nannying in the morning, taking the kids to their school. During the day, I would go to classes, and then in the afternoon to evening, I would either be performing or I would be waiting tables. So it was that was how I was fitting my money job in between. And at some point, I was like, I gotta figure something else out. I want to like do something a little more sustainable or create something a little more sustainable for myself. Because there's a cap to waiting tables. You can make a lot in a day, but there's only so much you can make as you grow. So I was always really good at making videos, and I grew up like having a little video camera and like directing my friends and family in different like shows, and we did like fake news, the original fake news. We would like make like faux news programs and stuff. And so I just posted on Craigslist, I will make videos for your business. Like if you want to have a video for your business, I'll do that. And I had this accountant reach out to me, and he was like, Paige, what you offer sounds great. I have a face for radio. I don't want to be in the video, will you be in it? And I was like, yes. So I started making this series of tax videos. I knew nothing about taxes, but I would write the scripts. He would approve them. And then I would set up a little studio in my 4th floor walk-up apartment on the Upper East Side and record these kind of like talking head tax videos with different characters, like people who like want to know if they can write off different things. You know, it was really, really fun. And I started his YouTube channel. We started building a YouTube channel, and this was in like 2011. So YouTube was still in the beginning phases of develop. Like people didn't really know that it was going to be so powerful as a marketing tool. But I was just kind of like at the beginning of that. And from there, I got more people reaching out to me for content, and I would make brand videos for people, and I grew the team and had an editor at one point and an office space. And so it was interesting because when I first started doing this, I joined a networking group to kind of help me grow. And I would go to my networking meetings and stand up and do my, 30-second or 1-minute commercial. And people would always say, like, you really seem like you know what you're doing. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just good at improv. And that's where I started kind of connecting the dots, because all of these skills that I was getting in my improv classes and that I was practicing on stage every night, I was also using in my business when I was connecting with clients, when a client would have a problem and need me to help them, or when they wanted to renegotiate a contract, right? All of these situations require improvisation skills, being able to say yes and, right? So that's when I just like, it was like a kind of a light bulb, and I would just rent a little classroom in New York City and do some workshops for my entrepreneur friends who wanted to learn more about improv. And they started seeing how it was helping them, and it kind of grew from there. I got some more clients. It kind of organically built on the side as I was building the production company. So I was parallel building 2 businesses. And the production company just started taking off. And I was like, I don't really have time for the improv stuff right now, and really focused on building Paige Media, which was the name of the company. As Paige Media like grew, it was always something in the back of my mind that was like, oh, this is something I really want to be doing more of. And that was in New York. And then I moved to LA in 2018. And went through a big breakup and just had a big like personal development journey where I just needed to kind of hide for a little while and go inward and work on myself. And then little detour, I wrote a 1-woman show during that time and ended up touring that and performing that in Scotland and LA Fringe or Hollywood Fringe Festival. So that was kind of my like way of still expressing myself creatively, and then moved down to San Diego, and I was like, I really want to go back to I really want to reopen this idea of improv in business. And I see such a need for it more now than ever because of how our trust is really, it feels fractured. Like it feels like we don't have a lot of trust in the internet, in the world, in other people. And so that's what, that's one of like the deeper things that I think improv helps with, is building trust. So I gave you a lot there. I really went in a whole bunch of different directions, but where do we go now?
There's so many threads I want to pull on.
Yeah.
But just on that trust piece real quick, I also feel like improv builds trust in yourself, that you can handle any situation. Because if you have experienced, even myself experiencing that one workshop, like in front of people on the spot, having to create things, it's going to be so much easier to answer a client question or do some sort of negotiation that's within the realm of comfort than get up and pretend you're a parrot in Tijuana with a mustache and an accent. So like...
My favorite character of yours, by the way.
Thank you. Really proud of that one.
Really inspired.
You just can handle more of life. I mean, I talk about this in a different context all the time, which is if you do hard things, you come back to your normal life You're like, oh man, like this thing came up that would have stressed me out if I had not ran 10 miles this morning or like done something hard. So I feel like you're just elevating your ability to handle things.
Yes.
Your ability to kind of dance in the unknown, which so many people are terrified of the unknown. So it makes sense why improv is also scary.
Totally. And they get to do it inside a low stakes context. It's like whatever happens here does not have any repercussions for the outside world, right? And so in that, there's so much exploration that gets to happen and practicing and failing. I think failure is such an important, like actually a really important step to success and to being good at what you do. You have to fail. I know so many experts, talk about this, but improv is such a space to be able to practice that too.
One thing I wanted to go back to is you said that you were all in on improv. It sounded like you were nannying in the morning, you were doing classes during the day, you were performing at night or waiting tables at night. So what was the dream there? Did you want to make improv your full-time thing? Did you want to get into acting? I know you were doing some acting already.
Yeah. That's a great question. There were a lot of people at my improv school whose goal was to be on SNL. Like that's kind of the ultimate dream for a lot of people who do improv and comedy in general. That was really never, SNL was really never my goal. I think my goal, what was my dream?
It's a big question.
I mean, this podcast is about dreaming, and I'm like, I don't know what my dream was. But I think it's funny because I just feel like I get to live my dream. I love performing and leading and being on stage, it really, really lights me up. And so anytime I can do that in any context, it's really special. I would say like maybe having a show, like a TV show might be like the bigger dream. And it's actually something that I'm working on right now
Ooh.
I know, scary. But yeah, is like performing, is like writing and being in a TV show.
Okay. So it's less about, it's so interesting you're saying this because it's been something I've been thinking about a lot, but it's less about the destination of SNL or some big name thing. It's more about the process of getting to be on stage, getting to write, getting to perform. Yeah.
The creative process, it fills me up. And I think I realized this a little bit when I wrote this one woman show called Breakup Addict and ended up taking it to it was actually the largest play festival in the world in Edinburgh in 2023. And to me, I was like, okay, I've made it now. I've made it. And now all the doors are going to open. All the opportunities are going to come. I'm going to have the red carpet rolled out and it's all going to happen for me. And crickets, like it was kind of, it was, I don't want to say disappointing, but there was a way in which it felt like I had all these expectations for what it was going to be, and it didn't meet those expectations. And then I started having all of this like internal turmoil of, well, am I not good enough? Is the writing not good enough? Am I not as good as I thought that I am, or as people have told me this is? Why is it not, why am I not getting more reviewers coming in the seats and writing about this show? So yeah, there was a little bit of a kind of like an ego death that happened in that experience. And that's when I kind of realized like, it's not about the destination. We put so much weight on that North Star and that destination, but right now is life, is the creation of everything. And it again comes back to this idea of yes and, because it may not take you to where you thought you wanted to go, but it takes you somewhere so much better if you just follow what's right in front of you and what's being presented to you in the moment.
Feels like this is a perfect time we're having this conversation because I'm going through that a little bit on my own, but also there's a professional golfer, Scotty Scheffler, I think is his name. I might be getting his last name wrong. He recently kind of...
I only know Happy Gilmore. That's the only professional golfer that I know.
Have you seen Happy Gilmore too?
I'm in the middle of watching it right now and I love it.
Okay.
Is he in it?
No,
Scotty?
no,
Oh, okay.
I don't think so.
There's like golfers in... Anyway.
I haven't seen it, but I want to see Happy Gilmore too, because Happy Gilmore 1 is a foundational film for me.
Is it?
Yeah, it's great. But
it's so funny.
This guy who's been winning all these tournaments, he kind of went on a tangent in an interview and basically was like, if you think that winning all these tournaments will make you happy, it won't. You'll be happy for about 30 seconds. But he's like, he's realizing that, and he's kind of opening up and being vulnerable about that, which is really cool. And it's what we've heard 1,000 different ways with gold medalist syndrome. The amount of Olympic athletes who become chronically and clinically depressed right after they win the gold medal is like 90%. It's insane. Wow. And so it's really got me thinking. It's the cliche. It's the journey. It's about the journey, not the destination. Yeah. But I was really thinking about that this morning on the way to the office, because no achievement I've ever achieved has actually made me happy for longer than a few minutes. But the things that have made me happy, and I think even deeper than happy, is meaning, fulfillment, and purpose. The things that have brought me those lasting feelings are journeys. They're transformations. They're me quitting my job in finance to becoming a coach. They're me recording 226 episodes of this podcast.
Amazing. Yeah.
And it's getting to look back. I'm posting on LinkedIn today, me now on the podcast compared to episode 1, and it is hilarious.
Do you have a side-by-side video?
I'll show you after this.
Oh my God.
It's so funny. I was so nervous and monotoned and like dead
Yeah.
in episode 1, and now I'm at least a little bit better.
You're alive.
But I'm thinking a lot about this too, because my TED Talk just crossed 100,000 views, which we're really excited about.
Oh my gosh, we have so much to celebrate today. This is amazing.
But it's also like, where's the red carpet?
Right,
the
totally.
expectations. People always ask me like, oh, have you gotten a bunch of stuff from it since it's at 100,000 views? And the answer honestly is no, not yet.
Yeah.
So I think that will come, but I really, really relate to you in sharing, like, you do this thing that makes you feel like you've made it. And if you were to project yourself into the past and say, okay, Paige, if you go to the largest film festival, whatever it was in Scotland, and you have a one-woman show, like, of course you'll be happy. Like, everything must be great for you. Right. And then that happens, and your expectations are slightly different than reality. And it's just this ego death, I think, is a great way to put it.
Yeah, for sure. And it reminds me of this concept of the be, do, have, and what we want to have. And so often we focus on the have, that we don't necessarily, that it's like, once I have that thing, then I'll be happy, blah, blah, blah. Then I'll feel a certain way. And, you know, in coaching, it's the opposite. It's like, how do you have the experience? How do you feel the way that you want to feel right now, and choose that? And that's so much of what I do, is like, how do you be in your joy? How do you be in your fun? How do you be in your play? And when you're in that energy and in that frequency of experiencing the freedom and the openness and the connection and the creativity and the trust, like, oh my God, what can you have then, right? Like, then so much is possible. So yes, it is so cliche about enjoy the journey, but like, how do you just be present with it right now and enjoy what you have in this present moment?
And if you're listening to this, asking yourself, is the thing that I'm pursuing right now, is it more of a process? Is it more of a journey? And I'm getting meaning and fulfillment and happiness from just doing it, like you mentioned, creating. Is that for you? Or am I focused on something where I'm just trying to get to the end goal? I'm trying to get to that performance. I'm trying to write that book. I'm trying to do this, because it won't bring you what you think it will. Yeah. And maybe you need to do that. I think everyone needs to experience that themselves. I think what we're talking about here is an unteachable lesson. You have to experience it yourself, just like figuring out that money won't buy you happiness.
Yes, absolutely.
So it's really cool getting to talk to you about this at a specific time where I'm being shown that again and again.
Yeah. It's very up for me right now too. So it's cool that this is coming up just so organically.
Tell us a little bit more about the one woman show. And I know you mentioned it had something to do with breakups. So yeah, tell us more.
So when I say I went into like this really personal, internal personal development journey, it was after a series of really I don't love the word toxic relationships, but just relationships that was like, girl, what are you doing? You know, from the outside, anybody would be like, girl, you crazy. But it just, for me, I was like just justifying these relationships. And I was like, this is right. And this is my person and all of it. And I was like pedestalizing these people and just playing out all of these patterns. And so when I actually moved from New York to LA with a partner, with my ex, and we lived together in LA, and that's when everything started crumbling. And I was like, wait, I don't think this is right. Like, whoa, he's unavailable. I didn't even realize how unavailable he is until now. And it's just like all these things started becoming really clear. And so I started doing some really deep work on my patterns with relationships and seeing that I had a really strong pattern of love addiction. And just like alcoholism, there is a 12-step program for love addiction. And I started going to that 12-step program and connecting with a power greater than myself and realizing how powerless I was in this, and working the steps with a sponsor and really going full into this and completely cutting dating and men out of my life for what became a year and a half. And during that time, another, total ego identity death, really. And I was just like, who am I without a love interest or a side piece or a partner? Or like, I just didn't really, I had to rebuild myself and my own sense of worth. And as I was reflecting on my past relationships, I was seeing them in such a different context now through the context of this 12-step program. And I was like, oh, I was the common denominator. It was me all along. So I kind of wrote the stories of these past relationships through the lens of this like newfound realization. And those stories kind of formed into a one-woman show. And that was Breakup Addict. And I worked with a director and producer and got it put up on stage, memorized the whole thing. It was about, when I premiered it on December 2nd, 2022, it was 75 minutes long. And I premiered it it was in North Hollywood, and maybe like a 40-person theater or something. It was a pretty intimate theater. It was like all my friends and family. My parents flew in for it to see this, like, their like daughter being a train wreck on stage. Lucky them. And yeah, so then it just kind of it had some momentum behind it and started building and going to the Hollywood Fringe Festival and then Edinburgh Fringe Festival. And that it was just such a healing experience for me to be able to write down, reflect, and share these stories with people. And I would have people come up to me after the show crying and being like, I needed to see this. This was so healing for me. And they would just like fall into my arms in tears. And I'm like, oh my God. Like, I didn't realize I was doing it. I didn't realize I was doing it for other people. Like, it just felt like something I was doing for myself, but it really had some ripple effects to it.
That's so cool. And that's what Rick Rubin says about the best creative acts are done without even thinking about the audience. It's creating the thing that you need to create, and then people will resonate with that. If you try and create based on what you think other people want, that's when you create garbage.
Yes, that's so true. That's really true. And it's like inauthentic, right? Because you're creating it for like what you think the market wants rather than what's really coming through and being channeled. So yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, what's also coming up is, I think it was Tim Urban, he's a writer, he has a really famous blog. He said, try and write for an audience of yous. Like, think of a stadium full of just you. So if you think it's funny, everyone in the audience thinks it's funny because it's you, instead of trying to be funny for other people. And that's helped me with my writing, because I crack myself up with my dad jokes, but no one else likes it. Some people like them.
You're like at your computer just chuckling to yourself. That is too cute.
That's the best.
An audience of yous.
Yeah.
I really love that.
So I've heard a one-woman show in only one other context. What does that actually look like? Are you literally switching seats and having two conversations at the same time? Tell us just a little bit more about what that is.
There are, in the first iteration of the show, I think I played like 20 different characters.
Whoa.
Yeah. So when you talk about character, you know, it's like I've had a lot of practice with certain versions of myself. It's kind of like, and every solo show is so different. So this is by no means the way a show is, but I jump between different parts of myself. So I play my intuition, I play my higher power, I play my little girl, I play my addict, who is just so fun. She's like the best. Like that's my like cheerleader. Alexis Rose she is inspired. But anyway, so it kind of looks like I'm sitting in the same seat, but just going back and forth as a different character. And at first, I think the audience, it takes them a second to realize what's going on. And then by the end, it's like they're like, oh yeah, that's flow, that's addict, that's intuition, you know, and can kind of see each character really show up on stage. So yeah, it's a bunch of different characters. And I don't change costumes or anything. I'm just kind of, I move throughout the stage based on location. So if I'm in, like, say, a meeting, I'll be center stage. If I'm in my bedroom, I'll be stage right. So there's different setups on the stage. But yeah, it's a pretty simple setup, just me. A lot of like lighting and sound cues with text messages, and there's some projections on the screen where like text threads will come through and with different guys. So yeah, it's really fun. There's a lot going on.
Is this something that you will be performing again, or?
I hope so. So this is actually what I'm working on now to turn into a TV pilot, and having multiple characters playing the versions of myself. Maybe, you know, we're playing with sort of some ideas, but I hope to perform it again, at least here in San Diego, because I haven't performed it in San Diego, and I know I have such a community here now that would come out for it.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, it's TBD, but I'll keep you posted.
Great. Well, I can hold you accountable to that.
Oh, no.
Because I need to see this.
All right. I said it. We're going to do it.
So tell me a little bit more about the play workshops you've been doing within companies. And then also, quick side question is, when you speak publicly, do you just love getting on stage? Like, you have no fear and you just look forward to it?
Oh, no, I get nervous. I get nervous before I do a show. Like, even something scripted, I get nervous for. And for me, it's like, I love feeling sensation in my body. Like, I'm very in touch with my body. And so if I feel sensation, I'm like, oh, I'm alive. You know, it's like, okay, nervousness is aliveness. And so it really is great. Like, I think you can channel the nervousness into creativity, or just is to alchemize it a little bit. But I totally get nervous. I get nervous before doing like play work. I was nervous before your workshop. So it's so normal, I'm not just like cut off from feeling anything around it. And even though it's stuff that I've done before, I've never done it with you guys, right? And it's always going to be something different. It's always going to be something new. I did a workshop the other day, and this one of the guys in the workshop is he's a coach, and had this really brilliant takeaway that I had never thought of before. And I was just like, wow. And I didn't know how to respond to it. I was like, I'm gonna sit with that one, because there's something there that I like really I can't like contextualize fully yet, So there's always something new that gets discovered in these workshops. So yes, that's probably why I get nervous, because it's all, there's something to be explored here. and it's never the same, as is it, they'll say in any improv show. They're like, this is the first time and the only time this will ever be performed. You'll never get to see this again. And so in terms of what I do for companies, it kind of varies, but it has the underlying theme of trust. How do we use improv and play to create a playful context, a low stakes context in this environment where we can really feel the experience of trusting? And you mentioned trusting yourself. It's trusting yourself. It's trusting each other. It's trusting the container. It's trusting God or spirit or whatever. And I don't necessarily bring God into my corporate work necessarily, but there is an energy that is other that happens in those spaces. So what's possible when you build trust? More innovation in a company, higher happiness, higher joy for people in their workplace. People don't. There's less turnover in companies when they feel like they can trust their bosses, trust the people around them. They're more invested in the company and helping everybody get to a certain place together. There's a lot more just connection that happens. So the benefits are beyond, like, infinite when you can have that trust. Giving feedback, like being able to share honestly with each other and trusting each other to, like, really receive it. And that is such a powerful modality or a powerful tool to have in your toolbox in a company. So yeah, it kind of runs the gamut.
I'm always so interested to hear people's deeper why, what's behind the thing they're doing. For you, it sounds like trust.
Yeah.
I was just on a call this morning with a guy who's creating an AI app that kind of combines coaching and therapy, but instead of his deeper why being technology, it's actually humanity and a human revolution where we focus more on the human using technology versus we just focus on the technology and discard humans because we can't process and analyze data as much. For me, it's like my deeper why is living a story worth telling, living an extraordinary life, having the courage to go for your dreams. So I want to come back to the trust. Yeah. Why do you think trust is the deeper thing for you? Where did that come from?
I think my whole journey has been about trust. And there's so many layers to it. It's being able to know that the hard parts, the challenging parts are for me. And I think that's something that I've learned to really trust over the years, and being like, if it doesn't feel like I want it to or doesn't feel good, can I trust that this is working for me? Being able to learn to trust myself and to be able to, like, step in front of a group of engineers or CTOs, and be like, I'm going to teach you all about play, when I really have no idea what an engineer does on a day-to-day basis, like, that is beyond me. And to me, like, they're so smart, but I trust that I have something, and that's why I'm here today to share it. So there's a whole journey of self-trust that's been built, and trust in the universe, and trust in what's been given to me. And then through that, I'm really able to trust others too. And it's cool to see that in an improv scene, because you'll notice in an improv scene where somebody doesn't trust, they'll be talking, and they don't leave space for the silence or the other person, right? And so, like, if I really, and I've done that before, where I'm like, I'm just going to give you all this information because I have all these ideas, and I, like, don't really know what you're going to say, and so I'm just going to say what I'm going to say, and that'll be our scene. Then we'll be done. And it's like, no, you got to leave room for God. You've got to leave room for the other person to say yes and. So it's cool to see that when you really do have that trust in an improv scene where you can both step out and just be in silence and together start to respond to each other, and then there's something that's just built between you that comes out of being able to trust each other.
And what a wildly different way to go through life. If you were to just trust that things are going to go well, things are going to unfold how they're supposed to, instead of worrying about everything, worrying about how this podcast is going to go, worrying about how a call later is going to go, worrying about what you're going to do tomorrow, worrying about what's going to happen next week.
Yeah.
If you could just trust that pretty much everything always works out.
Yep.
If you're listening to this, if you're sitting here today, everything in your life has worked out thus far. So why would you imagine that it won't?
Yeah.
And showing up with that level of trust is just so freeing.
Totally. It's liberating. It really is. And if you're in worry, that's your being. If you're just worrying all the time, you're being worry and you're living worry, and that is your life. So if you can live trust and you can be trust will be your life.
That is beautiful.
Thank you. I just made it up.
It's perfect. We'll clip that. That's going on Instagram somewhere.
Clip it. Whatever you say. Clip it, book it, print it.
Big team of
Fax
assistants over here. Mark that.
Fax that over.
It's really interesting because, as I mentioned, I was having deep thoughts on the way to the office this morning, and I was questioning everything, which I tend to do, because coaching there's kind of two levels of coaching. There's the base level, which is helping people do things. It's focus on the doing. It's like, what's your goal? Okay, we're going to do these things in the middle to get you over here. And then when I was realizing that, okay, well, no doing of a thing is ever going to bring what I want for people, which is that meaning, that fulfillment. Then I was like, oh man, like, is my entire profession not helping? And then it made me remember that the higher levels of coaching, the master certified coaches I've met, they always talk about how you don't focus on the doing at all. They're working with people who are CEOs, really high level. Like, you don't need to tell the CEO how to do things. You focus more on the being. And I really like what you said there about who are you being and how are you living? Are you living worry, or are you living trust? Are you living presence, or are you living anxiety or fear? Like, everything is going wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the North Star, right? It's funny because, like, our North Star is usually like, what do you want to have? Like, what kind of house, what kind of money, what kind of job, family, whatever. But, like, can the North Star be being, like, how you want to be? And then can you just be it now? Because we can. Like, you can choose to not be worried. Like, you can choose something else right now in this moment. You can choose to improvise and say yes and take what comes to you and have a lot of presence and levity around it.
100%. It's making me think of the be, do, have. We usually get it wrong, where we say, I want to have money so I can do all these amazing things and then I'll be happy.
Yep.
Versus you can just be happy now. And if you show up as a being who's happy, great things will happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that's the ultimate goal. It's how do you want to be?
Mm-hmm.
This is so deep.
We're going deep.
Wow, we're going deep. I love it.
What do most people get wrong about, I want to ask this question two ways. What do most people get wrong about creativity? And then what do most people get wrong about improv? You can answer whichever one you want first.
Okay. I'd say misconceptions about creativity are you're either creative or you're not. Some people think like, well, I'm not born to be a creative person. I'm very mathematical. I'm very logistical. I'm like X plus Y equals Z. I don't think that way. But creativity is not just something you're born with. It's not like in your genes. It's not so finite in that way. We are all creations. We have all been created, and we all have the ability to create. And so, yeah, I think if somebody's like, I'm not a creative person, I really, really challenge you to look at that belief, that because it's just a limiting belief. And maybe there's like a deeper part of you that wants to create and might be scared of what would happen or what would be possible if you did lean into that possibility. So we're all creative, no matter who you are. I don't care how many math problems you know how to do, like, you are creative. And even in that, like, a lot of entrepreneurs you have to be creative as an entrepreneur. You have to be able to adjust to the market and like create new products as things come up, create social media and market yourself in different ways to see what resonates. So business model is so creative. You can have different business models for different kind, it's like there's just so much possibility in entrepreneurship. So I think every industry has an ability to be really creative.
What's coming up for me as you share that is that I think a lot of people tell themselves they're not creative because it's not the kind of traditionally accepted creative metrics, like being an artist or being a writer. Yeah. My sister is super artistic, and since the age of like 3, she could just draw and paint. And so I grew up thinking I wasn't creative because I was more like the logical, analytical guy. Yeah. And it's been a really fun journey realizing that I am very creative. Just because my drawing still sucks doesn't mean that I can't be creative in conversation or creating coaching programs or
creating this, like creating your studio, creating your podcast, creating clients for yourself. Like, that's all creation. Yeah.
So that's a really helpful answer. I love that. What do most people get wrong about improv?
I kind of said this at the beginning, but I think like people think it's just for comedy. It's just for funny people. To be honest, don't necessarily consider myself the funniest person. Like, when I'm in an improv class, I'm always like, okay, there's half of these people are funnier than me. Like, I tend to compare myself to other people in that way. But it's not about being the funniest person in the room. It's about what we talked about, responding to the moment. Can you say yes and can you be present with people? And so there's so much more to improv than just being funny. And actually the whole point of like the funniest things that happen in an improv scene are things that are really honest, are things that are really true, where somebody is like, oh my gosh, that is so funny. I had that experience the other day with my partner, and they're playing it out on stage in front of me. It's not necessarily the stuff that gets really avant-garde and weird and strange, because our brains can't always grasp that, and then we kind of get uncomfortable because we're like, I don't really know what's going on and who's who. But when there's something that's really grounded in reality, and this is why we say it in an improv scene, you build a base reality. So you start with some real things, is like, I'm your roommate and you just got home too late or you've been playing music too loud, right? And so that's a very real, grounded scene. And as we yes and each other, there might be something weird that comes in that we get to explore and say yes to. But because it's built on this foundation of a base reality that's not necessarily the funniest thing in the world, people can really relate to it and have a grasp of the starting point and the foundation.
And what I'm really resonating with is that it was the things that were real and in the moment that were the funniest. Like halfway through one of our games, there was a balcony above and water just started pouring off. I don't even know what was going on there. It was like someone was draining an ice chest or something. And a guy in our group just made a little comment and I just started crying laughing. It was like the most quick-witted, perfect thing.
Yes.
And that's the kind of humor I love. That's just super quick. It's like super witty. I think of Ryan Reynolds, of course.
Yes, totally.
Just responding in the moment with some weird abstract thing that's just like quick and spot on.
Yeah, because what we could have done is been like, oh, that's so annoying. Why are they doing that right now? That's so loud. We need to shut the door, whatever, right? And like cut it out. Instead, because we were in this context of yes and, let's bring it into the scene. Let's play with it. What could that be? Someone's peeing, like whatever it is, And yeah, that's what I love. That's what I love about improv is everything is a gift. Everything is a gift. Even if it is not if it comes from outside of your scene partner, it can be a gift. You can really use it.
And again, I'm bringing this back to life because it's just what I've been thinking about a lot. But what would your life be like if you went through life thinking that everything was a gift? Mm-hmm. Oh my God, you'd be so present. You'd be so happy. No matter if things go this way or that way, you'd be like, wow, that's cool. Instead of having this expectation that you have to control the external world to show up precisely how you want it. Otherwise, you're not going to have a good day.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Yeah, like I want everybody to live that way. Maybe that's my mission. Is like I want everybody to live like everything is a gift. Can you imagine what kind of world that would create? That'd be just magical and amazing. I'm guilty of it. Like there's always ways that I can live more in the yes and, but yeah, I want to share this modality with everybody because it's so powerful.
I agree. People would show up so much happier, so much more present.
Yeah.
They were just on the lookout for gifts. Oh, there's a gift. There's a gift. So as we begin to wrap this up, what would be Improv 101? Not necessarily, well, we'll get to for people who want to get involved with you, but if someone's listening and they just want to go watch it somewhere, they just want to actually like see this thing that we've been talking about, what would be a good starting point?
Well, I would say like look up improv schools in your area and go to you could go to if you want to take an improv class, like go take an improv class at the improv school, but they also have shows all the time. A lot of their students will do student shows at the end of their course. And they'll have house teams. So the house teams perform shows usually on like Friday or Saturday nights at a typical improv school. So highly recommend you go. Usually, actually, I don't know how much it costs these days, but it was like $10 back in the day at UCB to go see any show, even with celebrity, the famous people you'd get to see for $10 on a Sunday night. So I would say go check out a live show. If you can't for whatever reason, like YouTube has all kinds of improv shows. Look up Upright Citizens Brigade. I mean, I can tell you some of my favorite. AssCat is such a great, I don't know if, I highly recommend looking up AssCat. I think it's 3 S's, ASSSCAT. And that's a show where they have usually a celebrity monologist. So someone who comes out and gives a monologue at the beginning, which is inspired by a suggestion from the audience. And then the improvisers will improvise a whole show based on their monologue. It is so incredible. And they usually have some of the best improvisers in the world performing those shows. So that's long form. Long form is you get a suggestion. Sometimes there's a format to it, like there's a monologist that comes out, but sometimes it's like you just get a suggestion and then the improvisers do a show based off that suggestion. So that is long form improv. Short form improv is stuff like Whose Line Is It Anyway? So if you wanted to check out more of like the gamey improv, which is a lot of what we do in warm-up games, is the quick-witted things. That's short form. And so you can watch episodes of Whose Line Is It Anyway? And I know there's improv theaters that will do more short form stuff. Improv Olympics might still be around. Anyway, I would say just look up, if you just explore on YouTube and your local improv theater.
Great. That's a good starting point. And I'm just noticing as you're talking about improv and creating an entire show based off a suggestion, there's just like this energy inside of me that's pure terror and excitement. And I think that's what's so cool about improv is we are so uncomfortable with the unknown as humans. Like I see it every day in my coaching. Like that is the last place we want to be, in the unknown. But that is also where everything is possible and everything is created. And so I feel like improv is a microcosm of life, of just stepping into that unknown.
Absolutely.
And it's exhilarating and terrifying, and I have this feeling in my stomach, but I definitely want to do more improv and get involved at some point.
Yeah. And we do it all the time, whether we know it or not, like life doesn't have a script. So we are always improvising every single day, including right now. And you're doing a great job at improvising this interview, right? And so improv just really gives you skills to be better at that, at being in the moment and responding to what you're given. But yeah, I mean, we all improvise every day.
And now, because we have ChatGPT, people ask ChatGPT, well, how should I respond to my girlfriend when she says this? Or
yeah.
I need to, oh my gosh, there's like this whole trend, and it's not a good trend, of people breaking up with their significant other through ChatGPT. Being like, how do I word this text? Which obviously you should not be texting someone, but it's that's one piece of technology and AI that I'm concerned about, is that we outsource our improvisation skills. I said that weird. Improvisation skills to ChatGPT, where we no longer can just be in a conversation and like feel it out and come up with things.
Yeah, I'm worried about that part. I'm also worried about the creativity, like our writing and how writing has become so outsourced by ChatGPT, and how we aren't practicing those muscles as much, and our brains are not making those connections as much lately. So yeah, I think there's a lot of repercussions to using it.
It's funny. This is classic. For whatever reason, AI always comes up in like the last moments, and I'm like, okay, we don't have time to talk about it. Maybe that's a future episode. But
sneaks in.
What I want to ask to kind of bring us to the end here is, where can people go to watch your one-woman show? Where can people go to join one of your workshops and, I guess, holistically just learn more about what you're up to?
Yeah. Well, I am not performing my one-woman show right now, and it's not available for streaming at the moment. But if you want to just check out info about it, breakupaddict.com is the website. My website is yesnco.com, YESNCO.com. And you can just find me on Instagram. That's usually where I post most of my stuff. I'm also trying to lean towards LinkedIn a little more. So find me on LinkedIn. It's my full name, Paige Wilhide. And Instagram is my full name, Paige Wilhide.
Well, Paige, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Gregory. It was so fun.
Thank you for leading us through that workshop. That was honestly the most fun I've had in a while. And you really, you made us able to be uncomfortable in a comfortable setting. I remember from the very first thing where it's like, we're going to count down from 10 and shake out our arms and our legs. I was like, oh God, already not liking this. And then at the end, I was so into it. So to go from this is going to be really weird and uncomfortable to oh my gosh, I don't want this to be over.
Yeah, that's what everybody said. They're like, oh, I want to do more. It's so fast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happens.
I'm just smiling. Just the things I learned about the other men who I was in, just the ways they showed up, how funny they were, the characters. It was so beautiful, and thank you. You did such a masterful job leading us through that workshop. Thank you so much. It was truly a pleasure to let all of your inner little boys come out and play. Yeah, and thanks for showing up to this today with no formal questions, no formal format. It was really fun to just kind of co-create this together. Yeah, I can't wait. I blacked out, so we'll see. Let me know what I said. It was great. Thank you so much. Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you everyone for tuning in with us today. As always, we love you guys.